Hi, welcome to Beginner Zen. My name's Mark, and if you are just starting out in Zen, I have just started it myself. And I'm starting this channel basically because when I first started kind of looking for resources on how to start a Zen practice, I found a lot of resources by, well, mainly two kinds of people. People who really seemed to know what they were doing and had great insight on how to get started, but aren't in the same boat. I was hoping to find maybe what some other beginners kind of thought about it. And so for that, I went on. I remember at the very beginning, I went on Reddit and was looking for some insight on maybe like the first book I could read on Zen. And right on that first thread, there was this huge argument about Rinzai Zen versus Soto Zen and sex scandals in Zen, and your Zen is bad, my Zen is good, or that's how it felt to me. And I was just like, what is going on? I don't know what these divisions, like it felt like it's like Catholic Protestant, like I wasn't really sure what was going on. And so I want to share again, because I'm completely new and those kind of divisions still don't really mean much to me. If you're just starting out, I've been practicing for about 3 months now. So, I'm starting from scratch. Basically, the only difference between me and someone completely starting from scratch is that, yeah, I kind of picked a starting point. And so I hope maybe this channel and the videos that are to come can maybe kind of show you what it was like for someone else that was just starting out, and maybe give you some ideas of your own on how you can continue to develop your practice. So to start things off, I'll just tell you a little bit about how I kind of came to start my Zen practice. When I got to college, I took a course on Buddhism, and there were some really interesting things there. I was actually studying religion with the hopes of maybe going on to get ordained as a Christian minister, which I did actually, and I'll talk about more about that as well. But I learned about kind of Buddhism generally, and I remember just this idea of Zen being tossed out. And my teacher said, kind of the difference between Theravadan Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, and Zen Buddhism, these kind of three schools, was Theravadan Buddhism. Enlightenment is kind of something monks can achieve in this life. Mahayana, it's kind of like, well, with enough practice, we all can. And in Zen, it's like, well, actually, we can all like be enlightened right now. There's nothing stopping you from being enlightened today. And differing opinions on that for sure, but that's kind of this idea was floated out. And he also kind of intimated that, Zen Buddhists are kind of hardcore, and that was kind of how we got into it. So I kind of flirted with meditation at points. At one point, I saw a Buddhist counselor who was kind of helping me with stress and anxiety, and for about a month, I kind of had a daily meditation practice, and then I had one bad day, and that was that. I kind of was like, well, meditation's not, it's great, but when I have a bad day, if meditation's not going to get me through it, then what's the point? So I kind of dropped off, and since that was about 10 years ago, and since then, I've done a little yoga here and there. Studied Taoism a little bit. I had a friend that got me kind of reading that for a bit. Again, I've been an ordained minister, so prayer practice, although probably not as much as you'd like a minister to have. But so kind of the reason I came back to meditation was, again, it was a few months ago. I was just in a very stressful time of life. We moving to a new place. I had some medical testing going on. Job was really stressful, and I just kind of realized I need something to get through this. And I was like, well, meditation probably is the healthiest and most potentially impactful thing I could do for that. So I started meditating, and since then it's been a daily practice. Again, it's been about 4 months. And Zen, I kind of started focusing on Zen about 3 months ago. And I think there is a reason that I stuck with it this time. And I want to share that as kind of, if you only have one takeaway from this video, if you only have one takeaway from this channel, and you're a complete you're completely new to Zen, maybe you're completely new to Buddhism, or you're completely new to meditation. The thing that really helped me, I think this time that, able to stick with the practice was I meditated every day and I meditated twice a day. And I was really committed to, I will meditate twice a day no matter what. And I think for me, it's important because, if you meditate twice a day and something happens where you can't meditate in one of those sessions, you come home late night, you're tipsy, or if you're in Denver like I am, you've been enjoying some other substance and you're just not in the right headspace to meditate. Well, you still got your morning meditation in, and it's still a daily practice for you. So I think, bookending your day with meditation, I think is a good way to kind of amplify the practice. I think when you start your day and in your day with that practice, it does kind of maybe take root a little deeper. But even if just for the sake of, if you miss a practice, you had one and so you at least got in one a day. For me, I think it's really made a big difference. So I'll say that if you're going to start a practice, it doesn't matter how long. If you want to do, 10 minutes, great. If you only want to do 5 minutes, I think most of us can shoot for 5 minutes. Start 5 minutes of quiet sitting, if you can't sit, laying down or however you need to do it. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. That's a great start to a practice, and that's all you need for practice. My next video, I'm going to talk about kind of books that I started with, and to be clear, in Zen, no reading is required. I visited the Denver Zen Center recently, and they emphasize that you don't need to read anything to practice Zen. I think in a Western, coming from the West, knowing very little about Zen, curiosity is a big part of it. And we want to kind of understand this weird mystical practice that is Zen, or so we think. And reading is, I think, part of it for a lot of us. But yeah, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, I think can go a long way. And I think the second thing that I would say, again, all beginners, I think can be really helpful when you're starting a Zen practice, is just to try and incorporate mindfulness into your day at some point. And when I say mindfulness, I just mean, allow that meditation mindset, for lack of a better term, to be part of an activity during the day. It doesn't need to be your whole day. If you're coming from, your life, you've got a lot going on, your mind is constantly in all these different places. Try and find maybe a part of your day where you can really focus on just one thing. And maybe it's the thing that you find it most easiest, you find it easiest to focus. You're a musician, when you're playing your instrument, maybe that's the time of day you say, okay, I'm just going to do that. Because I think, again, it's kind of about that meditation practice taking root. And I think that when you, again, you direct that mindful energy to an activity during the day, it kind of connects with that meditation practice, and I feel like it helps that practice to kind of grow and start to become part of your life more. So yeah, I think that about winds up this video. Again, that's kind of how I've gotten started with my Zen practice, and in the next video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the books that I kind of started with. What I found helpful, what I didn't particularly find helpful. There's at least a couple books in there that I think I kind of had to put aside. They didn't really help me, and so I can, I leave that to you, what you think. But if it feels intimidating at this point, if Zen feels like this very, extraordinary thing that you have to get your mind around, I would say that, my favorite quote, I think, to date about what Zen is simply that, Zen is your everyday life. That's all it is. Zen is your everyday life. And when you put it like that, it's like, well, why aren't we all Zen masters? Because we're all living our everyday life. And I guess it probably points out that, we tend to not live our everyday life as our everyday life, but we live in, our ideas about it, our thoughts about it, our fantasies about what our life actually is. But if you could live your everyday life as your everyday life, you'd be practicing Zen as well as anyone could. So I'll leave you with that, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.